Today we're going to be working on a Ford F-150 for my customer. He had actually driven up to my house when I was in the middle of another detail and said, "I think I need your help." I tried polishing the paint myself. He had a Rotary, a wool pad, I think only one wool pad, and he had watched some videos online and he had figured he could paint correct his vehicle himself. But when he was done polishing it, he said it actually looked worse than when he had started. The paint was super dull and hazy, and he didn't know what to do to get rid of the haze. I pulled out my paint correction light and I immediately knew what he was talking about. He had created holograms and marring from being too aggressive on the panel and didn't know how to finish down properly. We also had some water spots that we had to deal with, so I told him I know exactly what to do. So the plan for today is to do a full detail, do a quick interior detail for him, it shouldn't be too bad, and then do an exterior wash, water spot treatment, and then finish down the paint to remove the holograms and marring that he induced with his paint correction. As far as interiors go, this one is going to be an easy day, and I do actually have my son helping me out. He is 12, but he should be able to very quickly vacuum all of this out. The mats will pressure wash when we do the exterior, and then we'll wipe down all of our plastics, make sure we remove all of the body oils from the leather. That's probably the biggest, thing that we've got to work on this interior. On the exterior though, that is a whole nother issue. Black paint. Ford paint is actually pretty easy to work with. It's like medium paint, which for detailer when polishing, that's kind of the perfect sweet spot. And different manufacturers are going to have different paints. I find German paints to be harder. Your Mercedes-Benz, your BMWs, even Audi, they can have really hard paint, even some Hyundai. Your softer paints, you're gonna be like your Tesla, your Porsche, your Subaru, your really soft and difficult paints, or I often use the word finicky, is like your Chevrolet or GM paints. Sometimes even some Jeeps can be really difficult, easy to correct, but can be a pain in the butt where you have to do a second step automatically regardless of the condition of the paint, because whatever method you use to correct the paint, it's going to leave micro marring behind, so then you have to finish down properly, so that way you don't have all those little ticks from your pad or your polish left behind. Sometimes you can remove the big stuff, but you'll look really closely in the light and you'll be like, why do I see all these little ticks in the paint? And that's micro marring. Medium paint, however, is that sweet spot. I can use a yellow film pad. I can use more like a medium polish like Oberk Soul, or even DIY Detail. They're gold standard, and I can remove 50% of the defects very easily and finish down properly. The biggest issue we have with this truck, however, is not the fact that it's black. It's not the fact that we have swirls and scratches. It's the fact that we have water spots. And sometimes if they've been on there too long, they can actually etch into the clear coat. I'm going to try first to chemically remove them with an acidic water spot remover. Always start with the least aggressive, work your way forward. See what we can remove chemically first before we then come in with having to polish. We're going to polish regardless, but I don't want to try to polish off the water spots because you're going to end up spending a lot more time polishing and remove a lot more clear coat if you're just trying to straight up polish away water spots. So before we do our water spot treatment and polish the paint, we need to make sure it is clean and decontaminated. Now, since we're starting off with the least aggressive and working our way up, we're going to try CarPro D-Scale. This is an acidic soap, and see if just by doing a foaming pre-soak and a contact wash, we can remove our water spots. We're going to give everything a good wash, rinse it, and then come in with our Shine Supply spot rinse. This is one of my favorites for moderate water spots. We're going to spray it onto the panel, massage it in with a microfiber. Make sure you don't let this dry on there and that you're working on a cool panel out of direct sunlight. Give everything a good rinse, and then we can come in and do a clay towel treatment to decontaminate the paint. It's really important that we do this because if you have any sort of grit on the paint after washing, your polishing step isn't going to be as effective. Your pad will get super dirty and it's just not going to perform as well. Once everything is dry, you can see we do have some marring, which was to be expected. We were able to successfully remove the mineral deposits from the paint, but now that all the dirt is gone, we can see those holograms very clearly. This was the biggest issue the customer had, and this is actually a lot easier to fix than people realize. So for those of you that are struggling with holograms, here's how you fix it. When it comes to paint enhancements, especially on a larger truck, a black truck, Just some tips, some things that I have learned along the way that help me be a little bit more efficient. I don't chase paint perfection with a paint enhancement, and I don't need to with this package. We're going to be doing 2 to 3 quick passes. I'm not necessarily doing 1 inch per second. This is going to be a very, moderate speed with my arm movement, using a yellow foam pad, a medium polish or a light correcting polish. More so than anything, restore gloss and shine, put some oil back into the paint, enrich the paint color, and then just finish down properly. Now, as far as my setup, the last couple of weeks, I actually was sent a new cart by McKee's 37, their Carolina detailing cart. I already had one. I'm not quite sure why they sent it to me, but I'm not going to ever turn away a free gift, because holy crap, has it made my polishing process more efficient. Because what I do is I actually have one bucket here with a rinseless wash. We're actually going to use just a little bit of Hydra. You can use any rinseless wash that you want, but I always use a rinseless wash to wipe off polish residue. I find that it is a little bit safer to remove polish residue. There's nothing worse than taking a dry towel to your paint. So I have found that using a rinseless wash to wipe off polishing residue not only is it safer, but it actually, I don't have to struggle as much with removing all of the residue, and it just finishes down nicely. And then we'll follow up with a panel prep wipe. But I have a rinseless wash in this bucket, and then over here we're gonna actually put, this is a 5-gallon bucket, but what we're gonna actually do, this is my pad washer. We have some of our McKee's 37, their pad conditioning solution in there, maybe a half of a scoop. And then you have your pad washer. You have the pad washer that basically sits into this bucket. We have a seal on the bottom that prevents any of our dirty water from going back into our clean water, so it keeps it nice and separate. And get this front, you can see we've got clean pad solution, so that way I can clean my pad after every panel. I'm using my SPTA. This is a 15mm throw. This is a battery powered polisher. Mind you, this is not the most powerful polisher, but for paint enhancements, it's perfect. No cords, especially on a truck. I'm going to be able to work faster because I'm not battling cords, having to keep it over my shoulder, prevent it. So whenever I'm doing a paint enhancement, I like to use this polisher. It does come with 2 batteries. I have a fresh battery in here, so we're going to actually get this charging. I should be able to get this entire vehicle polished with 1 battery, but should it start to die or lose some of its power, we'll put a fresh battery on. We're going to be using our gold waffle pad from DIY Detail. We're going to actually prime this a little with our cleaner. While it's still spinning, 2 sprays. We have our gold standard polish, and we're ready to go. So what I will do is polish. We will leave all of our polish on the panels. We'll wipe off at the very end, but for my first panel, I will wipe off just to make sure that I'm getting the correction, the clarity that I'm looking for, make sure that this is the product and the pad I want to use. Before we come in and polish the entire vehicle, we're going to do a test spot to determine if this is the right pad and polish for this scenario. What I'm looking for with my test spot is, did I get the level of correction that we need for the paint? And am I finishing down with clarity? If I see those scratches, that means we didn't finish down properly. We need to either do a second step or switch our pad and polish. Now, fortunately, because this is medium paint, our gold standard polish and gold waffle pad were perfect for this scenario. We were able to remove the holograms and finish down perfectly. Now, what actually causes holograms? Well, it can be a few things. If you go through the automatic car wash with brushes about 1,000 times, the brush marks can actually accumulate so much so that it looks like holograms. But normally the biggest culprit is someone who uses a rotary like my customer did, who doesn't know what the heck they're doing. They might use 1 pad for the entire vehicle, use the rotary at too high of a speed, and so you've got a dirty pad, a lot of heat being generated from the rotary, and sometimes even the holograms don't reveal themselves until a day or 2 later, so you don't even know that you've induced them. Once the paint cools down, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Normally, all you really need to do is a quick second step like I'm doing here. You can actually finish down with the rotary, use the polisher at a low speed, you use a red foam pad, keep it flat on the panel, and normally that's enough to remove the holograms, or you can use a DA like I'm doing here, and a finishing polish, a yellow foam, or even an orange foam pad, and dial your paint into crystal clarity. we're going to go ahead and get the entire vehicle polished, remove all of our holograms and clay tile marring, and then once we're done, wipe off all of our polish residue with a rinseless wash and apply P&S Inspiration Defender. I actually really enjoyed working with this product. 1 or 2 sprays per section. Use a second towel for just a quick buff, and we had beautiful streak-free results on this black paint. My son's going to use Carpal Pearl on the tires just to be that cherry on top. We also applied Vonix Synergy Plastic to our tonneau bed cover just to restore it and give us some protection. It actually worked beautifully on our tonneau bed cover, and these were our end results. When the customer came to pick up his vehicle, he was so ecstatic with the end result. This was exactly what he was hoping to achieve on his vehicle, and it didn't require much, just a quick second step, and we were able to get this paint pretty much perfected. Off camera, because we had a lot to do with this vehicle, we ended up doing our interior detail, and I'm going to put all the products that we used in this detail in the video description box down below, as well as any coupon codes available for those of you that want to try out any of these products for yourself. But maybe you have a black vehicle and you've tried paint correction yourself and it didn't exactly go as planned. Hopefully this video can give you some tips and wisdom on how to be able to finish the paint properly and get professional level results like this. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe so that way you don't miss out on any of our future videos. But thanks guys for watching. We'll see you in the next detail.